So I'm still I'm really impressed that you have spent and dedicated so much of your time with an organization, and you're going full speed ahead, and you're also having a lot of time, some time after work hours to volunteer. Now, how do you ever burn out?
Yes, for instance, in my last job that I was at, it got to the point where I was working 70, 80 hours a week, plus doing part-time study on top of that. So I did most definitely burn out. I think it's just a matter of doing things that you enjoy at your own pace and at one that you can manage, because otherwise you will burn out. I mean, I did that literally a few months ago, to the point where I just felt that I needed to quit my job and just did what I felt that I had to do in order to improve my mental health. So I got away from my job, went travelling around Australia for a month, and certainly used that to recuperate.
Yeah, yeah. So in your average day at work, what does it look like?
My average day at work is, ultimately it is doing just my standard boring day-to-day job. There's not a whole lot to it. It's not necessarily something that's very intellectually testing, but at the end of the day, whatever pays the bills. And yeah, quite often during lunch breaks, all that different kind of stuff, I'm there, emailing people, catching up on all this kind of stuff. And then particularly outside work hours, it's doing all, catching up with your emails. If you can't necessarily be somewhere like Inspire in person, it's using technology, like going on the forums. We have a lot of our youth involvement technologically based here at Inspire. So getting on there and being a part of, either talking to other youth ambassadors or getting involved with one of the Getting Real sessions, and, just doing that as well, even before you go to work, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, just sitting there answering a few emails before you head off to work for the day.
Online. Yes. I'm sure.
That's it. Ultimately, we don't specifically want to post anything that's triggering to people. We really do need to keep in mind, the fact that our target demographic, in particular for Reach Out, it's 14 to 25. So we want to post stuff that's kind of relevant to them. The fact that we're a non-profit, we're not exactly about to go on and blast government policy or anything along those lines, If we do want to speak about something in a different way, then, I know that people here at Inspire, they have their own individual accounts and all those different kinds of things, so you can kind of go about it in your own way. But I think what one person mentioned here in the office as a particular example is that if people want to be a little bit more controversial in regards to their opinions, they'll quite often have their public account and go, "Hi, I'm this person, I'm involved with this organisation, I do this, this and that." Whereas they'll also take on a separate alias, which is almost kind of anonymous, and then they'll use their opinions that way.
Yeah.
So, but definitely from an Inspire point of view, we don't really post anything out of boundaries. We do have kind of strict guidelines as such as to what it is that we tweet, what we don't tweet, how we tweet it, who it is that we support, who don't we support, and when we get involved, like with Twitter chat discussions, a lot of the stuff that we post during those times, we have statistics. When we use all of those kinds of things, we make sure that they're verified through like the Australian Bureau of Statistics, or we've got other research there which backs up what it is that we're suggesting when we tweet.
Excellent. So how many of you in Inspire would actively tweet or use social media for work purposes?
I think you'll find a significant majority of people here at Inspire do tweet. I'm pretty sure every single person in the office does have a Twitter account. Quite often, a lot of them will post stories about mental health and well-being. They will typically generate discussion about that and tweet other people with their opinions on those issues. So, I would go and say at least 2/3 of people here at Inspire.
Does everyone come together, and do you guys have meetings or catch-ups where you go over things and you go over policies, you go over some training maybe on being out there in such a public space without
absolutely. It's something that in particular our digital programs team at Inspire really looks at, because that does incorporate our marketing people as well as our community managers. So quite often anything which is discussed, in regards to social networking, it will get raised at those particular meetings. You know, we discuss what it is that we're talking about on social networking, how it is that we're discussing it, what it is that we want to discuss in the future.
Right.
And, you know, effectively we do have about 7 or 8 people who will sit around at a table every week and certainly give their input as to how it is that Inspire does use social media.
Right. So although it is an individual, how do you say, a tool for an individual, it is also used from an organizational basis, but you still talk about it, so you have a unified vision when you tweet or when you're out there.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we have, like, for instance, we have Twitter accounts for both Reach Out and Inspire. We use those 2 accounts for different similarities in some respect, but in other ways it will also be completely different. You know, like for Reach Out, for instance, we try and generate a lot of discussion about mental health. You know, we'll post, you know, stories from things that will happen around the world, all that different kind of stuff to generate the discussion. We'll use it for things such as, you know, providing links to our own fact sheets, being involved with Twitter chats, as I mentioned before, doing all those different kinds of things. Whereas with the Inspire account, we would use it generally to focus on Australian news and what it is that Inspire does. So even with just those 2 accounts there, we do use them for completely different things.
Right.